Hey family, what's going on? This is Andy Henriquez, and of course, I want to welcome you to the Thursday night show for your live motivational live stream. I appreciate you joining me. Tonight's message, I got a message for you tonight. Tonight's message is trust the process. And so I know so many of you right now, you're in the process of pursuing your goals and your dreams. You're in the process of making some things happen, and a lot of frustrating things can happen along the journey. And so it's always a blessing to Hey, what's going on, family? Andy Henriquez here. And of course, I want to welcome you to the Thursday night show for your life motivational live stream. This is where you come each and every week to get that little midweek pick me up. I know there's a lot of things you're dealing with on a weekly basis, and there needs to be that place where you can show up, get a little insight, get a little motivation, a little inspiration so you can keep pushing through your goals. Hey, tonight's message is called Trust the Process. And so one of the things that I know is you probably right now are in the process of pursuing some kind of a goal, some type of a dream, some type of a vision. And let me tell you something right now. When you're in that process, it can get a little frustrating. When you're in that process, some things can happen that really want to make you throw in the towel. And so if right now you're in the middle of your process, right now you're in the middle of your journey, I got a message for you tonight. And so I'm going to be sharing some things with you that's going to keep you in the game, that's going to keep you from throwing in the towel prematurely and help you to see things possibly from a different perspective. And so once again, for those of you who are joining me right now, my name is Andy Henriquez. I am a strategic storytelling expert, speaker, trainer, and coach. And this is the Thursday night show for your life motivational live stream. This is where I bring you a motivational message each and every week. And tonight's message is called Trust the Process. Hey, do me a favor. As you're tuning in, do me a quick favor. Go ahead and put in your city and your state so I can give you a quick shout out before we get started on tonight's message. And I also want to tell you this. Do me a favor because I got a good message for you tonight. If you've got some people that you know need a little pick-me-up, some people that you know that could hear a good message, some people that you know that are in the process of pursuing their goals and their dreams, in the process of making some things happen, you want to make sure that they are listening to this message. You want to make sure that they are with us. So do me a quick favor. Go ahead and make sure you hit the share button. But as you're jumping in tonight, do me a favor. Go ahead and make sure you put in your city and your state so I can give you a little quick shout out. Tonight's message is called Trust the Process. And boy, let me tell you, a lot of times, I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I'm in the process of going after my goals and my dreams, I'm in the process of taking on a new project, a process of trying to get to my next level. There's some things that happen in the process that, it makes you start second guessing. It makes you start wondering, like, do I really want to do this? Like, am I really cut out for this? Like, is this going to happen for me? And there's some things that happen in the process that are frightening, some things that happen in the process that are painful, and some things that happen in the process that makes you second guess as to whether or not you even want to do what you claim that you want to do. And so if you're in the process of making something happen in your business, in your life, in your finances, in your relationship, let me tell you, you are absolutely in the right place. So, hey, want to give a couple quick shout outs. Hey, Christine, how you doing? Good to see you. Christine is tuning in from Indianapolis, Indiana. And so, Christine, I want to thank you all the time for joining in and tuning us. But once again, as you're jumping on, do me a quick favor and make sure that you go ahead and hit the share button before we go ahead and get started on tonight's message. And so once again, tonight's message is called Trust the Process. Trust the process. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, you know, between myself, my friends, the people that are my coaching clients, let me tell you, one thing I realized is that the moment that you're in the journey, the moment that you're in the process of going after your goals and your dreams, the moment you're in the process of trying to make some things happen, one thing is guaranteed: some things are going to happen. I'm going to say that again. Some things are going to happen. And sometimes those things are going to come in all different shapes and sizes. Sometimes I was speaking to somebody earlier today who had a business partner that completely betrayed them. I mean, literally, business partner went into the office and took everything out of the office, like took all the furniture, all of the equipment, all those things. Listen, some things are going to happen. I was speaking to somebody else the other day that was in the middle of a relationship and literally found out in their relationship that out of nowhere that something happened. I'm like, wait a second here, wait a second. What do you mean something happened? They're like, listen, I found out that this person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with started off the relationship completely deceiving me. And so one thing that I know for certain is that some things will and will happen, and you have to be ready for those things when they do happen. And so one of the things that I'll tell you, absolutely, you got to make sure that you're ready. And so whether it's around your relationships, whether it's around your business, one thing that I know for certain is that somewhere along the journey, you're going to find yourself second guessing. You're going to find yourself saying, you know what? Is this worth it? Like, is it really worth me trying to go into business for myself? Like, is it really worth me trying to grow my business and get to multiple 6 figures or 7 figures? Like, is it really worth me to get back into a relationship? Is it worth it for me to, make this sacrifice and go back to school? Like, something is bound to happen along the process that's going to make you sort of second guess. And so if you are somewhere in your journey, somewhere in your process, let me tell you, you're in the right place. I got a message for you tonight. So I want to say what's up to Latasha. Hey, Latasha, I see you, girl. Latasha tuned in from Tennessee. And so once again, I want you to get a notepad. I want you to get a pen, because I'm going to share some things with you. If you are going along in your process, meaning you're pursuing like a big dream, a big vision. Some of you, your big vision, maybe perhaps you're trying to become a speaker, you're trying to become a coach, you are trying to build a business, you're trying to get your business to multiple 6 figures, maybe you're trying to get to the 7-figure mark. Maybe you came out of a bad relationship and you want to get back into a great relationship again. Maybe you're trying to get out of debt. Maybe you've been thinking about writing a book. Maybe you've been trying to figure out how to use your gifts, your skills, and your talents so that you can make a living. I don't know what that thing is for you, but one thing that I do know, it's going to be a journey, and it's going to include a process. And let me tell you right now, you better learn to trust the process. And so, what brought this up for me, earlier in March, we were celebrating my wife's birthday. And so my wife is always looking for these cool experiences for us to have. And so what she wanted to do is she wanted to have a paint party. And so we called up some of our few closest friends, and we rented out a venue where you do a paint party. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with paint parties, let me tell you how those work. It's basically, you don't have to be a professional artist. It doesn't matter if you have any kind of creativity skills. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to paint, but it's like a really, really cool opportunity where you get a group of your friends all together and you go in, and there's like a actual painting there. And there is a painter that's going to instruct you through the process so that you can paint your own version of this painting. And so the painting that we had to paint was a couple that was underneath the Eiffel Tower, standing underneath the Eiffel Tower with the umbrella. And the woman was leaning forward and kissing her boyfriend or her husband. And so it was a really, really cool romantic painting. And so all of us saw the painting. We're like, wow, that thing is amazing. But all of us are looking like, yo, we're not artists. Like, we can't paint. And so, but it's like, hey, they tell you, listen, don't get caught up too much. Just enjoy yourself. And the artist at the front of the room is going to take you through step by step, process by process, so that you can duplicate this painting. And so we're all sitting down. And so we sit down, we start getting our paintbrushes, and we have all our paint palettes. And the artist is at the front of the room, and they've got this picture of this beautiful painting of this couple underneath the Eiffel Tower. And they're like, all right, this is what you guys are going to paint. And so the artist is like, okay, pick up your paintbrushes. We're like listening. He's like, okay, dip your paintbrush into black, and I want you to draw 2 lines going down the center of the sheet. And so we start off, and I started off, and I'm like trying to follow the instructions, right? And he's telling us, draw 2 lines going down the street. I'm following the instructions. He's like, okay, now get another little bit of this paint and paint the little top corner. And I'm following the instructions. And then what happens is he has us follow all of these steps. And then in the middle of following up all these steps, he says, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pull out some black paint, mix it with white paint, and then I want you to paint over what you just painted. And so I'm looking, and I'm like, wait a second here. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, I'm looking at the finished product. I'm looking at the Eiffel Tower and this couple that we're trying to paint. And I'm thinking about what he's telling us to do. And in my opinion, it just doesn't seem right. And so I stopped listening to this man, and I decide I'm just going to go ahead and look at the painting, and I'm going to look at my I'm going to look at my board. I'm going to look at the painting, and I'm just going to attempt to just, off of looking at the painting, I'm going to see if I could go ahead and paint it. And so I start off doing pretty well. And then the rest of the people, I'm watching them, they're following the process. I'm like, oh, whatever, they're like suckers, they're like thinking that this guy's going to help them be able to paint this. I'm just going to look at the painting, and I'm just going to copy. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to paint it, and I'm trying to follow my own instruction. I'm trying to make this thing happen. And so what's happening over time is that I'm attempting to look at the finished product, and I'm attempting to do this painting, And the further we get into the process, the worse and the worse that my painting is looking. But the rest of the people who are following the steps, the rest of the people who are following the process, the rest of the people who are willing to trust the process, their paintings are getting nicer and nicer and closer to the finished product. And literally by the end, I sit there and I look at my painting because I abandoned the process. I look at my painting because I tried to paint this thing myself. I looked at the painting and my painting looked nothing like the finished product. And I have one of my friends, he's not an artist, he's not artistic, he's never been at one of those paint parties before, but the one thing that he was willing to do throughout the entire process was that he was willing to trust the process. He was willing to follow the steps, even though he couldn't see the outcome. He was willing to follow the steps, even though at sometimes it didn't make any sense to him. And here's what I want you to understand. A lot of times when you're on your journey, there are going to be steps throughout the journey that if you judge the steps, you're going to find yourself saying, you know what? This doesn't make sense. You know, I thought that by now I was going to be building my direct selling company faster than this. I thought that by now I would have gotten to this position in my company. I thought that by now I would have this amount of people on my email list. I thought that by now I'd be generating this amount of money in my business. I thought that by now that my relationship would be at this place. And so what happens is we have this expectation in our mind. And then we're in the middle of the process. And what we start doing is we start comparing what we expected the whole process and what we expected things to look like. And we start comparing it to what things really are. And that is where we begin to get ourselves in trouble. You see, that's when we begin to throw in the towel. That's when we begin to get frustrated. That's when we begin to convince ourselves that it's not going to work out for us. And so here's what I want you to understand. Here's what I want you to understand. You've got to be willing to trust the process, even when things are happening and it makes absolutely no sense to you, even when your bank account is not what you want it to be, even when there are people who started the journey with you who are no longer on the path with you, even when you thought that it was only going to take a year and now you're 5 years into the process, even when you find yourself second guessing and saying to yourself, like, is this going to happen for me? Like, it takes me back. I remember when I first left corporate America, when I first left my job as a CPA, I remember I had saved up all this money and I was like, you know, I'm about to get out there and become an entrepreneur. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to make awesome things happen. And I remember the moment that I made a decision to leave my corporate job and I made the decisions to start stepping out there, let me tell you, the first thing that happened is I took all of my savings and I got involved in a real estate transaction and I literally lost all of my money. You hear me? All of my money. Now, I had no idea when I first made the decision that I was going to leave corporate America, when I decided to go after my goals and my dreams, in my process, there was nothing that said, Andy, you're going to lose all of your savings. There was nothing in my process that told me that, you know what, that within a couple of months of leaving your corporate job, within a couple of months of you feeling all secure because you saved all this money, within a couple of months, you're going to lose it all. Within a couple of months, you're going to find yourself considering going back and asking for your job. Like what I envisioned in my mind, my journey of becoming an entrepreneur, nowhere in my journey did I have that within 6 months of my journey that I was going to lose all of my savings. And so here's what I want to tell you. I know this may not make any sense to you, but here's what I want you to understand. That is probably the best thing that happened to me. You hear me? When I left corporate America and I lost all of my money, that was probably the best thing that happened to me. Now, I know what you're saying. Andy, wait a second, that makes no sense. You mean to tell me you left your job working as a CPA, one of the top 4 public accounting firms, you leave to go and become an entrepreneur. Within 6 months of becoming an entrepreneur, you decide to get involved in a real estate transaction. You lose all of your savings. And I had saved up in excess of $48,000 and I lost all of my savings. Wait a second, you mean to tell me that you lost all of that money? You're saying that that was the best thing that happened to you? Yes, it was the best thing that happened to me. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it taught me early on in the process a couple of key lessons. The first thing that I learned is when that thing happened to me, immediately I was starting to think to myself, I was like, oh man, Andy, man, you're a failure, dude. I was like, man, maybe you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you need to go back and ask for your job back. And then I remember when I was feeling down and out, And I remember I was going through and I was reading a book. And then I remember there was a book, and I believe it was John C. Maxwell. And one of the things that he said in the book, I think, was Failing Forward. And one of the things that he said that failure is not who you are. And he said that failure was an event. And I needed to learn that. Like, if I was going to be successful, if I was going to continue down this journey of entrepreneurship, I needed to know that part of being an entrepreneur was that you're going to experience failures. I needed to know that part of being an entrepreneur, that some things were going to happen and some things that you really don't anticipate. And so I learned a very powerful lesson. I learned that when things happen, when you fail, it does not mean that you are a failure. It simply means that you failed at that event. And so in other words, failure is an event. It's not who you are. Failure is an event. It's not who you are. I needed to know that. The other thing was, because when I lost all that money, now I had to start thinking about, wait a second, Andy, do you go back and ask for your job back? Do you go back and are you going to retreat, or are you going to keep pushing forward? And so let me tell you, I had to think long and hard. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought about going back and asking for my job. I thought about throwing in the towel on my goals and my dreams. And then I had to make a critical decision. And the decision was I more committed to the safety of my job, or was I going to be more committed to my goals and my dreams? I'm going to say that one more time. I had to make the decision. Andy, are you more committed to the safety of your job, or are you more committed to this dream? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I wish I could tell you that I knew for sure I was more committed to the dream. Now, it took me some time getting along with myself, right? Because I definitely thought about running back to that job, but I had to make a decision. And I finally realized that, wait a second, Andy, you made the decision to leave your corporate job. Like, it's absolutely worth it, man. Yeah, you lost your money, but keep going on in this journey. And so I had to make a decision. I had to figure out, like, what is it that's going to make it worth it for you to keep pushing forward, man, even though you've lost the money and even though things aren't working out. So here's what I want you to know, that as you go through this journey that you're on right now of going after your goals and your dreams, I don't know what your goal and your dream is. I don't know what your vision is. Maybe you're trying to grow a business. Maybe you're trying to write the book. Maybe you're trying to have a happy, fulfilling relationship. Maybe you're trying to leverage your gifts. I want you to understand that somewhere along the process, some things are going to happen that are going to make you second guess to yourself. Some things are going to happen where you're going to experience some failures, but understand that failure is part of the process. Failure is part of the process, but you simply need to trust. You need to trust that you're going to make it through. You need to trust that this path that you're on, that it's going to work out in your favor. You need to trust that you have what it takes to be able to get to the other side. And so let me tell you right now, if you trust, if you believe that right now, that this thing that you're going after, if you believe that it's worth it, if you believe that you have what it takes, if you are still trusting this process and this journey that you're on, do me a favor, in the comment section, put hashtag trust, hashtag trust. Like, if you trust that this dream and this vision has been given to you, that it wasn't just haphazardly given to you, but because there's something specific, there's a calling that's placed upon your life, that this business that you are in the process of building, if you believe that it's going to impact lives, like if you believe that your products and your services should be out there in the marketplace, like if you believe that you can be in a happy, fulfilling relationship again, if you believe that you can grow a successful business, if you believe that you can become debt-free, if you believe that you can make this career change, whatever that thing is, if you're trusting that it's possible for you, do me a favor, in the comment section right below, go ahead and put hashtag trust, put hashtag trust. That's just your way of letting me know that you are trusting the process, that you are believing that this journey that you're on, that you can make this thing happen. I'm telling you, because I look back right now, when I left corporate America, that was December of 2004. I have never, ever looked back. I have not gone back. Thank God. I have never had to go back to actually working a job. I've been on this journey. I've been on this amazing journey of being an entrepreneur. I get to wake up every day and do my purpose and my passion. I get to help people to be able to work on their stories and cultivate their voices and take the things that they're looking to do to the next level. And so what I want you to understand is that you will get to the other side. Like, this thing that you're going after, it will happen for you, but you have to trust the process. Like, you got to trust that it's going to happen for you. So yes, Latasha, you got to trust. Yes, Janelle, you absolutely have to trust. Like, you've got to trust that this thing's going to happen. And what I find oftentimes is that when we're thinking about throwing in the towel, that we are oftentimes so much closer than we think. I'm telling you, like, after I lost that money and I left my job, I left my corporate job and I lost that money, and I was thinking about going back and get my job back, it was so crazy because shortly thereafter, I had like some people who came into my life that would literally change my life. I mean, I had people that came into my life that were mentors, that taught me many things about business, that taught me at that time about real estate. And I started investing in real estate, and that money that I lost, I got that money back like literally tenfold. And not only that, but then eventually going through that journey, I ended up like connecting and really tapping into like the personal development industry. And while I got involved in the personal development industry, that's when I really discovered what my true purpose was. And I discovered that one of the things that I really wanted to be able to do was to be able to help people, was to cultivate my voice, was to be able to inspire people, to empower people, to be able to leverage their stories and use their stories. And so many things began to unfold in that process. Now, I wish I could tell you that I saw those things earlier on, but I didn't. And I want you to get this. There's so many things in your journey, so many things in your process, you're not going to be able to see them in advance. Like if right now you're on the journey to getting your business to a certain level, there are so many things along that journey that you're not going to be able to see and figure out right now. You've just got to keep trusting. You got to keep pushing forward. You got to keep making the phone calls. You got to keep promoting your business opportunity. You got to keep getting the coaching. You got to keep getting the mentoring. You got to keep promoting your products, keep promoting your services. And you got to know that over time that things are going to happen. The right people are going to show up and your business will grow and scale. Some of you right now that you might be thinking to yourself, like you've experienced like something really bad. You had a failed relationship. You had a failed business. And so right now you keep reliving the past. But what I want you to understand is at some point you got to leave the past behind, and you just got to trust that this next relationship that you're going to be in, this next season in your life is going to be entirely different. And I'm telling you right now, I watch it over and over again. People throw in the towel oftentimes when you are this close to experiencing your breakthrough. Like when you're this close to getting to the other side, that is typically the time that we throw in the towel. That is typically the time that we say to ourselves, you know what? Oh man, this is not going to work out. And so I want you to understand is that you're closer than you think. Get this. You are closer than you think. And so what you have to do is you just need to stay in the game long enough. Most of us, we don't stay in the game long enough. And so I want you to do me a favor right now. In the comment section, put hashtag stay in the game, because the key is to stay in the game. Listen, you know, there's a gentleman that I know. His name is Myron Golden. And we've had the opportunity. We've shared the stage a couple of times. And not only have we shared the stage a couple of times, but I had the opportunity to speak at one of his events. And I look at him as a colleague, but I also look at him as a mentor. And one of the things that Myron said was, you know, somebody was asking Myron, you know, how is it that you've gotten so much success? I mean, you've built this amazing 7-figure business. You have this amazing lifestyle. You're changing and you're impacting lives. How have you had this success? And one of the things that Myron said is that, man, I wish I could take credit for it. But he said that one of the things is that I was just willing to stay in the game long enough. And so what I want you to realize is this, is that most of the time we don't stay in the game. You know, for those of you who are like in a direct selling company, for those of you who are speakers and coaches, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, for those of you who are in a career track where you're trying to get to that next level, understand this, that the thing that keeps most of us from not accomplishing what we want to accomplish is really simple. We don't stay in the game long enough. And so it's like a lot of times more important than talent, more important than resources, more important than who's on your team, more important than like systems and processes. One of the most important things that you got to do is just be willing to stay in the game. I'm talking about staying in the game when you're feeling frustrated and things aren't working out for you. Staying in the game when you've been going through this journey and going through this process and you're experiencing setback after setback and disappointment after disappointment. When you're building a team and people in your team are quitting. Staying in the game when you are like growing your business and then all of a sudden now you're experiencing some like cash flow issues and you are not, you know, getting the amount of clients and the leads that you want. staying in the game when you're in that difficult season in your relationship, that difficult season in your marriage. Like, most of us don't win for one reason and one reason only. We just don't stay in the game long enough. And so, somebody would say, Andy, you left corporate America back in December of 2004. I mean, if you think about that, we're going on, 15 years I'm approaching. It's been 14 years since I left corporate America. And then some people might be saying, well, how'd you work things out? I'm gonna tell you right now, there was a lot of ups and downs, but one of the main things is I just stayed in the game. I stayed in the game. Like, I didn't throw in the towel. I kept pushing forward. And so what I want you to realize is this, is that a lot of times you will outlast your competition. A lot of times you will beat your competition. A lot of times you will make it to the finish line and you will accomplish your goals and your dreams if you're willing to simply stay in the game long enough. And so the only thing is, I believe that most of us, we don't stay in the game long enough because a lot of times we sort of lose sight as to why we're in the game. Do me a favor right now. First of all, go ahead and hit the share button, because I know that there's somebody you're connected to that they could really benefit from this message. Somebody's just go hear just a piece of this message and it's going to be exactly what they needed. But what I want you to understand is this. A lot of times the reason why we don't stay in the game, the reason why we don't stay in the game is because we lose sight of why we're even in the game. Like, we lose sight. And I want you to get this. I want you to understand, especially for those of you who are entrepreneurs, like, you need to have something that you're pursuing, something that makes it worth it for you. And it's got to be bigger than money. I'm telling you, you may think that money's going to be the motivation. Money's only going to motivate you for so long. Listen, when you start experiencing some real difficulties, or when you start going through some real challenges, or you find yourself making some serious compromises and there's other areas in your life, even if you're succeeding in business, but other areas in your life that are taking a hit, like, you need something that is going to make it worth it for you to stay in the game, and it's got to be bigger than money. And the other thing is this. If you are going after your goals and your dreams right now, it's got to be for you. It can't be for anybody else. Listen, it's got to be for you. There's got to be a reason that you're trying to make it happen. Listen, many people have gone after a journey. They've gone after a dream. They've gone after a vision, and they were chasing somebody else's dream and somebody else's vision for their life. I've been down that track. Listen, my parents were well-intended. My parents didn't get an opportunity to go to college. They said, Andy, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. I did that. And they said, if you get a good job, this is how you're going to make it here in the United States. I got a wonderful job. I worked for one of the big 4 public accounting firms. But here I am working with an amazing company, every reason to do well, getting paid well financially, have the prestige of this nice corporate firm, a lot of great possibilities. But I realized I was chasing somebody else's dream that wasn't the dream that I had for myself. And so I needed to create my own dream, my own vision. And so I believe that part of the reason why we don't trust the process, part of the reason why we don't stay in the game is because we're chasing somebody else's dream. We're chasing somebody else's vision. And I believe that you've got to get complete clarity. I want you to think about this vision, this dream, this goal, this thing that you're doing right now. Why are you doing it? Like, who is this really for? Who is it for? Like, why are you trying to start this business? Or why are you even in business? So you're trying to make multiple 6 figures? Why? You want to make 7 figures? Why are you trying to do that? You want to write a book? Well, why do you want to write a book? Like, who's it for? What's your reason? What's your cause? And I believe that so often we take on a new dream, we take on a new vision, and we don't get clear on why we want to do it. And when you're not clear on why you want to do it, when you encounter the difficulties and you start dealing with the curveballs that life is going to throw you, you can't stay in the game, because there's nothing that really makes it worth it for you to stay in the game. Because listen, when you go after your goals and dreams, understand this, it is going to be a fight. You hear me? It is going to be a fight. It is a battle. Every single day you will have to wake up and fight for your dreams, fight for your goals, and fight for your vision. I'll never forget this. One of my buddies, Eric, as a matter of fact, I shared this story in my book. The title of my book is Show Up for Your Life. If you don't know my book, it's available at Barnes & Nobles, on Amazon. You can get it on any of the bookstores and so forth. Show Up for Your Life. Just go on the internet, Show Up for Your Life, Andy Henriquez, and you'll be able to find the book. But what happened is I shared this story in my book, and one of my very good friends, his name is Eric. Eric actually played in the NFL for several years. And one day Eric and I were chit-chatting, and he shared a story with me. And Eric was a phenomenal wrestler in high school. Not only was he a phenomenal wrestler, but he was a state champion. Matter of fact, if you go back to his high school in the gymnasium, you'll see his picture hanging up in the gymnasium and many of the trophies that he brought back to the school. And so Eric was telling me that when he was in high school, there was another guy that both him and the guy were riding the bus together. And there was a group of other students who were on the bus. And they just, I don't know, maybe because Eric was such a great wrestler and this other guy was known for being a tough guy. And I guess they just wanted to see a fight, right? So they just wanted to brew up a fight. So they're on the bus. And so they start trying to pin Eric against this guy. And so they start trying to tell Eric, oh, man, I bet you that guy could beat you up. And they start telling the other guy, oh, I bet you Eric could beat you up. And so, you know, teenage boys, testosterone flowing. And so at first, Eric's just ignoring them because he really has like nothing against the guy. And the guy also is like ignoring Eric. And, you know, it's at that point, it's just the kids trying to instigate a fight. And what ends up happening is they get off at the bus stop. And of course, the kids are still instigating. And then the kids, they want to see a fight so bad. So they're like, oh, I told you Eric was scared. And then they tell the other guy like, oh, I told you he was scared. And so, of course, now young men, teenage boys, testosterone, they're like, I'm not scared. And the other guy's like, I'm not scared of you either. And next thing you know, they go from walking in different directions. Now they're walking towards each other. They're throwing their book bags down. And next thing you know, these guys are getting into a fight. And so Eric says right away, he like pulled the guy, he put him into a wrestling move. And he thought that was going to be the end of the fight. And somehow he said the guy like wiggled out of the move. And he said that out of nowhere, boom, the guy caught him and he punched him right there in the chin. And Eric said, oh my gosh, Andy, he punched me in the chin, man. I felt this excruciating pain. And he said it was like the light bulbs came on. And I said, what do you mean the light bulbs came on? He said the light bulbs came on because he said, I was in the middle of about fighting this dude, and I found myself in the middle of a fight saying, wait a second, time out, time out, time out. I said, Eric, wait a second. Who calls time out in the middle of a fight? I said, who says time out? He was like, I told a guy, time out, time out. I said, then what happened? He was like, wait a second. I told a guy, man, wait a second, man. Why are we fighting in the first place? And he said that him and the dude, like, they stopped fighting for a moment, and they started thinking about it. They're like, wait a second. I don't have a problem with you. He's like, I don't have a problem with you either. And like, why are we fighting right now? And what they came to the realization was that neither one of them really understood or really had a reason to be fighting. And so they literally, in that moment, they decided to walk their separate ways. Now, I share that with you because I want you to understand this, that when you go after your goals and your dreams, you better believe that it is going to be a fight. You better believe that life is going to come around the corner and life is going to punch you right in the face. Things are going to happen. People are going to betray you. You know, you're going to have some struggles sometimes financially, or you may have to deal with stuff relationship-wise, or you may have to deal with something health-wise. Like some things are going to come, some things that you totally didn't anticipate. And if you're going to enter the fight, if you're going to go fight for your goals and your dreams, if you're going to go fight for your business, if you're going to fight for your relationship, if you're going to fight for your marriage, you better know why you're getting in the fight, because that is the only thing that's going to keep you in the fight. And that's the only thing that's going to keep you from walking away. Eric said, man, Andy, it was easy to walk away from that fight because he said that there was no real reason why we were fighting. Now, he said, I got some other things in life that I'm willing to fight till death because I understand why I'm in the fight. He says, I'm willing to fight till death for my family. I'm willing to fight till death for the things that I believe in. I'm willing to fight till death for my goals and my dreams because those things mean enough to me. But he said that fight, there was no real reason for me to be fighting. And so what I want you to be thinking about right now is whatever it is that you're pursuing, whatever is along your journey, whatever it is that is part of your process, I want to ask you this question. Why are you on this journey? Why are you going through this process? Like, what is it that's going to make it worth it for you to stay in the fight? What's going to make it worth it for you to hold on to the vision, to hold on to the dream? What's going to make it worth it for you to deal with the rejection? What's going to make it worth it for you to deal with the disappointment? What's going to make it worth it for you that when certain things don't go your way, to keep pushing on? What's going to make it worth it for you on a daily basis to keep going, to keep pushing, to keep trusting the process, That's what you got to be able to answer for yourself. And that's one of the things that you got to know. And so I ask question for you is really like, why are you on this journey? Why are you going after the things that you want? Do me a favor. Do me a favor right now and just put in the comment section, just put in what one of your whys is. I don't know what your why is. Like, whatever it is that you're pursuing right now, whatever it is that you're trying to do, just list one of your whys in the comment section. I'd love to just see what some of your whys are like. Like, when I say why, like, what's the thing that gets you up every day? What's the thing that's making you pursue your goals and your dream and your vision? What's the thing that when things get difficult that you can look to that is going to give you the encouragement and the motivation to stay in the game, that's going to give you the encouragement and the motivation to keep moving forward? Like, what is your why? Like, what is the thing that's going to keep? Do me a favor right now in the comment section. And this is one of the things I love about being live is that it allows me to interact with you. But do me a favor in the comment section, just go ahead right now and just put in what is your why. Like, what is your why? Give me one. You don't have to list them all, but give me one why. Tell me what makes it worth it for you. What is it? Because, you know, I think about, for me, it's like, you know, one of my whys, and it's very selfish, and I have to say this, one of my whys, and I know you hear this all the time. Yes, I want to be able to fulfill my purpose. Yes, I want to be able to, provide for my family. Yes, I want to be able to create awesome lifestyle for my wife and my daughter. And those are the traditional things that people say. But can I be honest with you? One of my whys personally is that, like, I am terrified of leaving this earth without tapping into my fullest potential. Like, I like am so terrified of getting to that place in my life and saying, what if, like, I would have moved forward on my goals and my dreams? Like, the last thing that I want to do is, like, to literally feel as if that I did not tap into my fullest potential. That haunts me. Like, that scares me. And that's why, you know, people try to call me an overachiever, whatever you want to call it. My goal is to, whatever God has put me on this earth for a reason, and I want to be able to fulfill all of my purpose. Like, I want to be able to just maximize what I've been called to do. And so I'm always looking to raise the bar. I'm always looking to get to that next level. So what's your why? So Latasha, one of the things that Latasha says, she wants to be able to leave an inheritance for her son, right? And so that's a beautiful why, Latasha, because oftentimes your why needs to be tied into something bigger than you, right? Because oftentimes, you know, unfortunately, you hear people, I want to make money. That's not big enough. Why do you want to make money? Oh, well, I want to be able to have a lifestyle. Well, why do you want to have a lifestyle? Well, I want to be able to provide for well, why do you want to be able to provide? So we want to have that thing. You have to think about what it is. Christine says she wants to be able to succeed for her ministry and to be able to travel at will, right? And so what I would even challenge you guys to do is when you say, I want to leave a legacy for my son, and I want to be able to provide for my ministry and to travel at will. And then I want you to go even deeper and say, well, why do you want to leave a legacy for your son? Why do you want to be able to provide for your ministry? Why do you want to be able to travel? And what I find is that when we continue to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, that why, we get so much clarity, and we begin to unpackage the things that are going to keep us in the game. And so what I want you to understand is this, is that all of us are on a journey. And along that journey, we are going to have to go through a process. And there's going to be times in the process that you're going to want to bypass it. There are going to be times in the process where you get frustrated. There are going to be times in the process where you're going to say, man, I don't know if this is even worth it. There are going to be times in the process where you're going to think about throwing in the towel. And what I want to remind you is that you need to be willing at all times to simply trust the process. You've got to trust that when you get into those difficult seasons that you're going to get to the other side. You got to trust that what you're experiencing right now is preparing you for the next level. You've got to trust that you have what it takes, and that whatever it is that you're facing right now, that you can deal with it. Like, you've got to trust that this goal, this vision that you have, the reason why you have this goal and vision is because you have the capacity to actually make it happen. Like, you've got to trust that even though you seem so far away, that you are so much closer than you can even begin to imagine, and so much closer than you can even think. And I believe that if you're willing to just simply trust, it changes everything for you. And I believe that oftentimes that what you're going through right now is just simply preparing you for the opportunity and for the next season that you're about to go into. And so once again, do me a favor, if you're going to trust the process, if you believe that this journey that you're on, that is going to pay off for you and that it's worth for you to say, stick to the game, once again, in the comment section, put hashtag trust, hashtag trust. That's just your way of letting me know that you're trusting the process, that you're pushing forward. Now, here's something else that I want to give you. You know, I've been sharing this a couple times. As many of you guys know, I am a business storytelling coach. I work with people who are speakers, trainers, coaches, entrepreneurs, executives, people who are already having success in their businesses and in their lives, and they want to elevate that level of success by becoming better at strengthening and being able to share their message so that they can attract their ideal customer and clients, so that they can better connect with the people that they want to be able to enroll into their business and enroll into their products and services. And so if you haven't already done so, I have a very quick video training in which I share with you how you could take your story and use your story to be able to connect with people, use your story to overcome objections, and then use your story to get people to take action. And so if you haven't gotten that training that I have for one reason or another, here's what I want you to do. I want you to text the word story to 954-278-3701. Once again, you're going to text the word story to 954-278-3701. Now, when you do that, you're going to be instructed to afterwards to go ahead and put in your email address. You put in your email address, and you also put in your first and last name. And then you're going to get a link as well as an email that's going to give you direct access to this quick video training. This is a really cool training in which I share with you really quickly how you could take your stories to be able to connect with people, to be able to overcome objections and get people to take action. So that's something I wanted to share. And then lastly, as you guys know, next week is my Master Storyteller Academy. I have one spot left. One spot left. This is so awesome. So I capped the class off at 20 people. There's 19 people where I got one spot left. And so if you are a speaker, an entrepreneur, a coach that is already having success in your business and you want to elevate your game, you want to figure out how to cash in on your stories, you want to become better equipped at sharing and leveraging your personal stories so that you can attract more customers and more clients, so that you can connect with people and eventually convert them to your products and your services, you do not want to miss my upcoming Master Storyteller Academy. And so once again, you can go to masterstorytelleracademy.com, Master Storyteller Academy, fill out the super quick application, and maybe you'll be able to get the final stop to join me, the final spot that I have to join me for the Academy. This training is going to be off the chain. It's going to be probably the best one yet. And every single time there's transformation, every single time it's an amazing experience, and I attract some of the most amazing people. And so if you haven't already done so, make sure you apply for that. But I want to share with you one more time. And I open up the messages telling you this. I know you're on this journey. You're trying to make some things happen. And yes, there's going to be some pitfalls. There's going to be some challenges along the journey. But you got to be willing to trust the process. If you could just simply trust the process, if you could just keep pushing forward, great things will begin to happen. You have no idea. And I know you can't see it now, but everything you're going through right now is preparing you for an opportunity. It's preparing you for your next season. So make sure you stay in the game. Make sure you keep pushing forward. Make sure you keep your head down to the plow. And so I want to thank you so much for joining me on a Thursday night show for Your Life Motivational live stream. You can join me, of course, same time, same place each and every week. Everybody have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to this message. And also, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and make sure you share it, because I know there's somebody you're connected to that can benefit. Hey, everybody, have a good night. Thank you. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in.